Stop expecting you in others. Expectations are a really quick way to kind of speed run your way into being disappointed by the people around you, especially when it comes to social relationships, friendships. While it's important to ensure that your friendships with other people in the world are healthy, expecting super specific things while never even mentioning to someone that you like that thing or you expect that gift from them, they're never gonna know about it. And trust me, I'm someone who, in my friendships, I was kind of always disappointed because I felt like a better friend to all the people around me than people were to me. And it was really upsetting because I would go out of my way to do something sweet when I would think of it. Like when a friend of mine was sick, I would make her a care package of all these things that she loves, and even wrote up like a 10-page transcript of her favorite fictional characters that she loved, like visiting her in the hospital, like a little short story. And I delivered it to her house. I had never received anything like that from her, and I was like really disappointed in her. Like I was really hurt by the fact that she didn't do something like that for me. I think what I've had a hard time accepting is that some people just don't think of things like that. Some people's minds just don't work in that creative way, or gifts like that, or things like people have done to you that you would never do to someone that seems like common sense to you. I hate to break it to you. Common sense is not that common, and everyone else's opinions and perspectives are totally different. So, whereas me or you would never miss a birthday message, or would always take the 5 minutes to post someone for their birthday, even if you don't know them super well, someone else might just not do that, and it doesn't make them a bad person or a bad friend. I feel like we just have to learn that people show up in different ways in their relationships. People show their love in different ways. People express themselves in different ways. And all their behaviors are a result as well of their life, the things that they've gone through, what they believe is an appropriate way of showing love. And I think in a modern world with social media, something that really, really pisses me off is that we expect every single person on this planet to act the same way, to do the same thing. And when this person does this behavior, this means exactly that. And when another person does this same behavior, it means the exact same thing. And that's not true. Life is so unbelievably nuanced and so much more complicated than TikTok makes it out to be. Like, I hate the phrase, if he wanted to, he would. I used to be an adamant believer in that, but I absolutely disagree with it now, because something I always say to my friends now whenever they bring up that saying, let's say like a guy's not texting them back, and they say, oh, if he wanted to text me, he would. If he wanted to, he would. And I was like, okay, but you want to text him and you're not. Human beings are a lot more complicated than we give them credit for, and unfortunately the way our brains work is that our brain cannot make sense of every little nuanced detail of life around us. So it's easier for our brains to process something and categorize it to make it easier for ourselves to understand. So if you can put everyone into one genre, or every guy into a good or bad guy based on if he texts you when you want him to, then sure, that makes perfect sense to your brain, but that's not reality. So I really want to warn against that, because like I just said, I am someone who was very big on that. I was like, yeah, if he wanted to, he would. And while I do believe that when a man does really love a woman, or when any kind of partner, any gender, sexual orientation is into someone, depending on their personality, there are very few things that will stop them from pursuing you. But you can't expect everyone to pursue in the same way. That's just not the way that life works. And I feel like social media keeps telling us to expect that. And that's just not a healthy thing for anyone's relationships. To expect people to show up and do the same things as you when no one has lived your life, no one has experienced everything you have, no one has had trauma that you have, no one has had the beautiful memories that you have. Like, I am very lucky because I come from a very, very loving, nurturing, honest upbringing where communication was always key. And we always talked about our feelings, and we didn't shy away from any topic at the dinner table. And I did not witness any kind of abusive relationships growing up. So my way of showing up and showing love may be very different from someone who comes from a broken home. And that does not make the way that they show up incorrect or wrong or morally bad. It's just different. And I feel like as I am growing older as in 20 years old, I'm learning that it's a lot more complicated than what everyone is telling you it is. You know, like seeing all these Instagram reels or like TikToks about boyfriends making their girlfriends elaborate burr baskets or like, you know, just obscenely expensive gifts. You need to remove the probably mid-30s super wealthy influencer context from that, remove that from that video, and think about your boyfriend. Let's say you're 16 or even younger, maybe even a few years older. Think about the job that your partner may work. How do you know that they can afford to do something as elaborate like that? And while I understand some people's perspective is, okay, but it's not about all the money that's being spent, it's about the thought that counts. And something as considerate as a handwritten letter would absolutely make somebody's day. And I 100% agree. I am one of those people that does handwritten letters or gifts like that. However, some people just don't think about gifts like that. So if you're not telling your partner that you would really love something like that, my point is, don't expect them to know. But I didn't really want to talk about romantic relationships specifically in this video. I really, really want to talk about friendships. Because coming back from Italy, my roommate did a really beautiful thing for me for my birthday that I did not expect her to do. I did not ask her to do it, and it was something that none of my friends had ever done for me before. And mind you, this was a girl that I knew for a very short period of time. I met her the day we moved in, 4 months together. And in her simple action, the simple effort that she took to make me feel special on my birthday is something that I'll truly never forget. I didn't have any expectations, and I was pleasantly surprised by what she did for me. I felt heard, valued. Don't do beautiful things like that you know someone will really appreciate because you expect something in return. Because let me tell you, human beings are pretty selfish creatures, okay? And that's not a dig at anyone specifically. It's the fact that we still have caveman brains, as much as we like to believe that we don't. And we are wired to be concerned about ourselves. And I know we have come a really long way from that time period, but you cannot change biology, and we still very much, a lot of our urges and feelings about things do emerge from very animalistic tendencies. So to ignore that would be to ignore the truth of our creature, our being. So, I'm just saying, like, when it comes to friends specifically, give your friends some credit because, like, for example, one of my very, very close friends, one of my best friends, she does not come from a great home life. She does not know what it's like to communicate healthily. She does not know what it's like to be told, I love you every single day. She does not know what it is to eat dinner with family every single night. And I expect her to show up. And she's also not a creative person. Like, she's not very artistic. She doesn't like any of those creative pursuits. She's very athletic and prefers to, like, do fun things, go out, and things like that. Whereas I'm a more cozy, indoor, creative hobbies person. And I place my personal personality and my hobbies and expectations on her, like, for doing things that I would do for her. I expect her to do those things for me. Like, for example, making a care kit when I'm sick, or handwriting me a letter, or hand making me a present, when she's not into those things. And it's unfair of me to put my expectations on her to do something like that. And just because she doesn't love me in the way that I expect her to, just because she doesn't do exact specific things or give me specific gifts or say specific things, doesn't mean that she doesn't love me. Just because she doesn't show up in the way that I show up for her, doesn't mean that she doesn't love me. We're just different people with different hobbies, different opinions, and different lifestyles growing up. We were raised by different people, and that creates a difference of mindset. And she's had different relationships than I have, more relationships than I've had. And I'm just saying, placing your expectations on people will disappoint you. I'm telling you now, 100% in my experience, you will be disappointed by expecting people to show up in the same way that you do. So where, like I said before, specifically, if something like a birthday message is nothing to you and you take no problem with texting someone that, someone may not view that the same way as you. Someone may not think it's a big deal, but telling yourself that that person's a bad person because of that is also not okay. You have to realize that just because someone is walking a different path than you doesn't make their path wrong. And just because you're walking a different path than them doesn't make your path right. But it's a lot easier to kind of push things to the side when we look at other people around us and we say, okay, I think this is how things should be. And your brain just kind of starts to assume that everyone feels that way. And that's not the case. Where something might be a huge deal to you, other people just don't think it matters that much. And like I said, it doesn't make it wrong. I think the faster that we detach our expectations from other people's lives and let them show up in a way that means something to them while also be considerate of your needs, that our relationships will be a lot happier and a lot healthier. Because just because your boyfriend or your friend didn't get you that certain bouquet of flowers that you liked, that you saw on Instagram that you didn't tell them about, doesn't make them a bad friend or a bad partner. Social media is putting so much pressure on friendships to be aesthetic and to be cute and to spend so much money on each other for almost no reason, whereas what real friendship is not built on monetization or money or products or how many skincare masks you guys spend money on that you do together, or how many expensive dinners you go out to. Friendship is built on values. Friendship is built on loyalty, honesty, laughter, growth, memories, inner beauty, helping each other out when you're going through a tough time. And I think we've kind of gotten away from that. And instead of seeing friendships and relationships as the beautiful human connection that they are, we see them as an opportunity to tear other people down. Like by saying or posting, hey, look what my friend bought for me. Look what my friend did a 30-day of Christmas book advent calendar for me. Or whatever. That's a thing I've seen a lot, actually. Probably because I'm a big reader. Or look at how my boyfriend decorated this entire room for me for no reason, and balloons and flowers. And while those things are beautiful, and I hope that everyone out there gets to experience something like that, that builds resentment against your partner for them doing something wrong that they didn't even know they were doing wrong. And it's not wrong that they don't do those things. If you specifically talk to your partner saying, hey, I'd really love something like this, and you send them that and you talk about it, and then they don't do that for you, depending on what the situation is, then that's a different conversation. But I think, especially movies, like, reading minds is not a thing. Someone's not just gonna know that you want something, that you like something, or that you expect them to show up a certain way for you in a friendship or a relationship, unless you talk to them about it. Like I said before, in my personal experience, me expecting my friend to make incredibly intricately handmade gifts for me when I'm going through something like I've done for her, and this isn't an insult, even though she has absolutely no creative skill in that area or any enjoyment of it, doesn't make her a bad friend. She just shows up for me and loves me differently, and that's what makes different friendships so beautiful, is that you're experiencing love in so many different facets. And I consider myself a very good friend, and I absolutely hope that everyone gets to experience a friend like me. And I don't mean that in a cocky or narcissistic way whatsoever. I mean that in I know how I love, and I love how I love people. And I hope that everyone gets to experience something like that. And who says that I can't give that love to myself? I know it's different when you get a beautiful, pleasant surprise from the people that love you, and your friends or your family or your relationship that you weren't expecting. But who says that you can't do those things for yourself? Once I realized that I could stop complaining and start doing all of the things that I said I wanted from other people, I became so much happier. I started buying myself the flowers. I started making myself the written letters and the handmade gifts and the showing up early for myself or staying committed to my commitments. Keeping your promises to yourself is one of the most beautiful ways to show that you truly love yourself. Because if you love yourself, staying committed like that to yourself, whatever promise it is or whatever goal it is, shows that you have incredible love for yourself. Even though it's hard and it's not always successful, of course, and sometimes you fall back because you're a human being, you show love for yourself by showing up And I think I just want everyone who's watching this video to realize that people show up in different ways. And one day you are going to have a friend or a partner that loves you the specific ways that you want them to. Not all of them, of course, but you also have to remember to express what you want. You have to tell people, because people aren't just going to know like by assumption. You can't assume that everyone's going to know, the way that you don't know if your friend's thinking the same thing about you right now. Maybe your friend's thinking, oh, I wish they would show up for me this way or do this for me when I need it. When you put it in the reverse perspective, it sounds silly, because how would you know to do that if they never told you? It's really that simple, that you can't expect people to know what you want without communicating. Communicating is key, and it's not like the movies and it's not like the books. People aren't gonna just know exactly what you want from them. You have to grow and build your relationship by explaining those things. And once they know what matters to you, they will show up and express that. So talk to your friends, okay? Communicate. Tell people what you want. And don't expect it tomorrow, okay? Don't be entitled in your friendships. You will lose so many friends that way. While it's important to put your needs first and also be a good person to that other friend or that partner, remember that you need to focus on yourself too. Do those things that make you feel good. Share those things with your friends. Build your relationship with yourself while also fostering healthy, real friendships that aren't based on how much money they spend on you or the gifts that they get you. I know how hard it is to be the friend that you feel like always does the right thing all of the time and always shows up early and would never miss a commitment for a friend. But I'm telling you, when it comes to expectations, communication is key. People are not going to know unless you tell them. So dismantle your expectations. Be humbled by your expectations a little bit. So continue to create beautiful relationships and friendships, but also remember that you can create them yourself. And even though it can be really tiring to feel like you are the only one that's fostering those healthy relationships, remember that you are an inspiration to other people. And other people are learning from you even if you can't see it. So this video is for that overthinking friend. And I really hope that this video helped you a little bit, and I hope you subscribe, like, and come back for another video. Thanks for watching.